So continuing on with the setup of our game, let me get a share screen going here. So our our game at this point uh, looks pretty plain. Our uh, pickups are just white cubes. Our firewall is flame-like, but it doesn't do much. And I want to dress this up with some sparkly pickup items, things that are shiny. And I'd also like to make my pickups uh, spout particle effects so that there's something happening, maybe some sound. And of course, uh, uh, our damage items should make some kind of explosion. Um, I looked out for as many of the different free explosion effects as I could find. There's the Detonator explosion framework from Ben Thorpe. That's on the asset store. There's, of course, the 5X particle pack and the uh, Unity particle pack. These all have great explosions in them. I found one called War FX that was free. In terms of the sparkly gem items, I, there used to be a gem shader on the asset store that was great. This is what it looks like. It makes really nice sparkly gems that look quite realistic, and I'm sad that they disappeared, but I will post that anyway for you to use. In terms of explosions, um, uh, what I found with the explosions, of course, here's the detonator framework uh, that has this test scene where we can blow things up. That, and there's a whole bunch of different prefabs for that. Um, there's the FX explosion pack. This had a sample scene, and these looked pretty cool too. Uh, uh, from a distance anyway. And there's another one here, JMO Assets, that doesn't have a sample scene. Uh, and so, but what I found when playing with these was that a lot of them didn't look that good when you walked through the explosion. For instance, that explosion pack I just showed you, when you walk through it, because you're kind of inside the particle effect, it doesn't look that good. And I found this to be true of a lot of the different effects. That's the Unity particle pack. That's not bad. But I actually found that the best one was the Detonator explosion framework for being inside the explosion. So that's the one I'm going to use when we get to it. So the Detonator framework, these are parametric explosions for Unity. There are scripts that build explosions, build particle effects. They're quite complicated. Uh, it has many prefabs described here. There's base, chunks, crazy sparks, heat wave, igniter. It's no longer just pro only. Insanity, mushroom cloud, simple. All of these are prefabs that you can quite simply use. Uh, uh, they talk about how they do all this different stuff. That gem shader that I showed you has a custom shader called FX Diamond, which is a transparent material embedded in a cube map. It has its own cube map. It has various materials, various custom meshes. They're oddly named. They're named Circle Cube, Cube 001, and Sphere, but of course none of them look like circles, cubes, or spheres. They all look like gems, and they come in different colors. So the gem shader is what I'll use here. So what do we have to do to modify this. So I want my pickup to uh, make some sparkles. So here already in this scene, I've replaced my pickups with gem items. Uh, my pickups have uh, have the uh, purple diamond shader on them. Some of them are these uh, diamond-like shapes with a cube map that's kind of providing those fake the fake reflections. It is a fake. It's not real transparency. And it's using the gemstone shader. Um, so I've got a sparkle effect, a sparkle effect. It has a cleanup script on it that will destroy it after a certain amount of time. When you make particle effects, you want to either clean them up when you instantiate them or have a cleanup script on them that will destroy them after a certain amount of time. The particle effect here is various sparkles, and I believe I actually added a sound to this as well. We'll see about that. So what do I need with the pickup? I need a slot for the particle effect. I'll call it Detonator for no other reason. Everything else is the same here. We're adding points. And here I'm instantiating that particle effect, the detonator, at my collider's transform position with an upright uh, uh, rotation. And then because this is a pickup, I'm just drawing the pickup. So uh, how does how's this going to work? It's this nice little particle effect, and it plays a nice little sound. Um, the sound, where's the sound coming from here? Must be in the detonator. The sound, I believe, is part of the sparkle. The sound is part of the sparkle. I'll have to get back to you on where the sound comes from. At any rate, um, a similar modification on the damage script. Uh, we have a detonator and we instantiate it, and this is the thing that's going to be our explosion. We'll use one of the prefabs from the detonator framework. The bomb, same kind of thing, instantiated detonator. Uh, and so things look pretty good at this point. I can walk you through here, and things are blowing up, picking up nice little wording sound. Somewhere over here, I have a static bomb as well. By now, well, I need one more to win. So that's all pretty good. Let me show you an error that I ran into. Um, puzzled me for a while. Scenes with nulls. So in the console here, I want to make sure that the error pause feature is on. This way, if anything in the game throws an error, it'll pause the game at that point, and so I'll be able to inspect things and see what's going on. So here's the error that I encountered. I found that when I went through the firewall, it it threw nulls. It threw this null reference exception, object reference not set to an instance of an object. It was in the my damage script at line 14. So if I can click on that, it'll open up my editor and show me that at line 14, it was trying to do something with player status. It didn't have a player status to to call the apply damage script on. And so I inserted these debug statements, debugs print messages out to the console. And so before this null occurred, what I saw here is that it was telling me that the debug log, the object was the FPS controller, that's my character. But there was a chunk clone that was entering the collider. So two things entered the collider, one my character, but then this chunk clone. And as I look further, this detonator insanity makes a whole bunch of chunks. And I don't know what these are for. These are just part of the particle effect. They're doing different things. They've got a rigid body. They're flying around the scene. And that was what was going through the collider, the firewall collider. And when in the script I was trying to access that, it wasn't there. So, not a good thing. And I determined this by adding this debug statement and seeing what was happening. This is the when in doubt, print it out kind of approach to debugging. So a fix to this is similar to what we did with the rolling ball, with the rolling bomb, that had to check to see if it had a player status before it tried to access it, check if it's null. This will work. But a kind of better way to do it is to ensure that the collider is actually the player. And our player is tagged to be a player. We often do this. And so in the trigger enter, without going out and trying for a player status, I'm going to test if the collider's tag is player. And only then do I try and get a player status and do this other stuff. So this is actually a better way to do it. And the bottom line here is that you must protect against null references by appropriate error traps. Now, if I didn't have that error pause on here, this thing would work just fine. It's not going to stop the game. The game is still going to function as it's supposed to. But I'm getting all these null reference errors here. So it's important to have this error pause on so that your game tells you when there's one of these nasty red messages that's been sent. So bottom line, you must protect against null references with appropriate error traps. In addition to the debug log, which makes those little white messages, there's also a debug log warning that makes a little yellow message. And over here in your console, you can turn on and off the messages, the warnings, and the errors. I didn't do that in the copy in the game. But And there was a similar error where one of the firewall chunks hit that pickup collider's trigger. So I had to do that same kind of thing in the pickups as well. So everything is now bulletproof. The null references are checked for, and everything works the way it's supposed to here. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing at this point, and I'll end this. I'm going to come back in and show you where the sound came from, because it wasn't obvious. I'll stop recording. See you in class. Bye.